Alright guys, I am currently editing the video that you are watching, which confuses you, I'm sure. It would confuse me. So, what's happening now is I was going through this video, and I realized that there's a lot of wind noise during the build when I'm talking and not the music, you know? And the reason for that is because my big fluffy self got very warm during the first part of my build log. So I said, you know, I'm not going to be sweating again during this. So I turned my fan on all the way, which in turn blew air onto the microphone, which gave me wind noise. So that's just an explanation for the wind noise during the video that's about to come up. So just please keep that in mind while you're watching this. Alright people, I've got my computer that I built out on the box, you know, and tested it out, and I installed Windows and everything's working good. So it's time to move it all over into the case. And by the way, if you want to see me building it on the box, the first part of this video, or well, like the first part of this, you know, computer build series, then that's the previous video if you want to go back and watch that. So what we're going to do here is the first step. I've got to take a few of these parts off of the motherboard so that I can move it over. And also, alright, so I've got to unhook some stuff first. Alright guys, I've got everything pretty well cleared off the motherboard. Everything that's on here is going to stay when I move it over, so now I'm going to just take a look at the case more, and I'm going to resume the high speed, and we're going to start moving stuff over. Now, an interesting thing that I just noticed about these motherboard standoffs, as some of you who've built computers might know, standoffs they're not like a screw where you can put a screwdriver on them. So what they've done, this is your motherboard standoff. It's, you can see how it's not a screw, but what they've done is they include this little cap that you put over it, and then you can screw it in with the screwdriver, and then you take that off, and then you've got your standoff. So we'll let that refocus, and I'm going to install these in their proper mounting positions. Now for my board being an ATX size, I need to put all the screws in that are marked with A. Alright, those 9 motherboard standoffs are in pretty tight. And how you're supposed to do this is you put the standoffs in tight, and then you put the screws into the motherboard a little less than that, so that if you have to unscrew your motherboard, the motherboard will come out and the standoffs will stay on the case. So now, I'm just going to slide this in here. Okay, and now I get to look through the box and try to find what screws you're supposed to use as the corresponding ones that you use to screw in your motherboard. Okay, I seem to not know what screw you use to screw in a motherboard, because there's not enough of those. Not enough of those. And those are twist ties. So it's between these two, so I'm going to have to go Google. But just putting my guess down, I'm going to say right now that it's probably these ones. So let me go Google this real quick to figure out which ones I'm supposed to use for sure so I don't screw something up. Alright guys, so after doing some Google searching, I found out that the best way to figure out is to take out one of your standoffs and see what screw fits the best. And also that your screws are supposed to have like a little, almost like a built-in washer. Alright, that's not going to pick up, but like, it's got a flared out top so that it'll help hold it down more without even having to use an extra washer. So I did that and I was right, and those, the ones that I thought were the right ones fit perfectly and everything. Okay guys, I screwed in one screw and then got out 8 more, and I dropped one behind the motherboard tray, so I'll have to retrieve that. But I'm missing 2 screws. So like one is still on the towel somewhere, or I don't know how to count and I only got out 7 more. But regardless, I get to take off this back panel, which I had to do anyways later on, so I'll just get it done now. Take off this back panel and retrieve that one screw and see if along the way the other one wants to show up. Okay, it came out on the side panel actually. It was in the rail along the bottom. There's one. I swear I did not drop 2 screws. Like, I don't hear any rattling anymore. Alright, well I'm going to install this 8th screw and then I'm going to look on the ground for the 9th one. This would be so much easier with magnetic screwdrivers. Okay, well, I got on the ground, I moved the towel, I did everything, and that screw's not here. Shook the case, it's not in the case. I'm going to take it that I am too stupid to count out screws properly. And I guess that's why you have a bunch of them in here. That I do want to plug in the power supply now, just as an extra layer of protection, because that's what that'll do is it'll ground this case out just to make absolutely sure I don't get any static discharge in here. Alright guys, so as you can probably notice, the camera has moved, and that's because I'm going to install most of the stuff in the case, and I realized that probably wasn't the best angle. You probably couldn't see a whole heck of a lot. So, yeah, I moved the camera for you. But yeah, guys, we've got booting. The motherboard is indicating that it is hung up on the boot, and then that light just went off, and that's what it does every time it boots. And now we're loading Windows, and look how fast this stuff loads, man. I love that SSD. Like, coming off of using a laptop with a normal hard drive, the boot speeds on this are ridiculous. And I haven't really set up Windows yet very much, like it's just pretty stock, but yeah. And also you'll notice that the fans are just like ridiculously loud. And the reason behind that is that the the reason that the fans are loud is because I had it sitting on the box, so I didn't want to do a lot with it. So I didn't install the Fan Expert or whatever it's called. So I didn't install any of the software that ASUS includes. So it'll get quieter, and I'm going to install the overclocking stuff, and I'm going to overclock the CPU and the GPU. Now that I've got some, now that I've got my case to direct the airflow a little better. By the way, it feels like the 140s are actually ramped down quite a bit, because I plugged them into that little adapter thing on full 12 volts, and they're like a jet engine. So I think that the motherboard revved them down automatically or something. But yeah, I can't wait to get this all up and running completely overclocked, and you know, get my desk cleaned and actually start using this. But yeah, guys, for those of you who have been watching through this incredibly long and stressful build log, thank you guys for watching this so much. Like, I've had a few viewers who have commented on every video I've made since the unboxing of my RAM all the way up till now, and it really does, it means a lot that people actually care what I'm doing. So yeah, and by the way, this is not the very last video in the series, because the cables are a little bit cluttered still. I still gotta manage those a little bit, but there's not a whole heck of a lot I can do right now, because like, I'm gonna be upgrading this a lot after this. Like, as soon as I have money, I'm gonna buy a new, better part and just make it into my ultimate machine, you know? So I'd rather not cable tie everything and then have to rip off all the cable ties later. But yeah, guys, please click subscribe if you want to see part 3, where I do some cable management and just overclocking and all the stuff that I'm going to do on this, and also all the new videos that I'm going to make using this to render. So yeah, guys, if you've enjoyed this series of build videos, please click the like button and leave me a comment. If you want to see more of my videos, please click subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next videos.